The New England Patriots and Gerard Mayo keep talking about quarterbacks. And the media just poking them with a stick until they answer. And finally, he gave us some information. So let's jump into it. This is Sports Talk Patriots. I'm Aaron. Do me a favor before we get started. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like. I truly appreciate it. So Gerard Mayo being asked about the starting quarterback position. He came out and finally said on Monday we should be able to come out and say who is the starting quarterback. We know their next preseason game is against the Washington Commanders, the Commies, and Jaden Daniels, the second overall pick. So it's going to be interesting to see what series that Drake May gets, what series that Jacoby Brissett gets, and then as well, are they going to try to make it comparable when it comes to wide receivers they're playing with, the offensive line they're playing with. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Gerard Mayo and this coaching staff again set up these two quarterbacks to see at the end of the day who should be the starter. Now, I'm glad that he finally came out and told us, hey, on Monday, we should have a decision. Now, let's also remember, too, on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, before 4 o'clock, they need to be able to cut all the way down to that 53-man roster. So put on your seatbelts because it's about to get wild. So what we're going to do real quick is we're just going to weigh the pros and cons of each quarterback. So we're going to look at Drake May. We're going to look at Jacoby Brissett. So we're going to start with the veteran, Jacoby Brissett. One, probably the most important thing and one of the biggest reasons he was brought on to the New England Patriots was for the fact that he has the experience. He has the experience, and so he's played in the NFL. He's been a journeyman. He's been with the Patriots before, drafted by them, went to Cleveland. And so obviously making his way back to the New England Patriots. And so that's one of the biggest things. One, experience. Drake May, no NFL experience except in this preseason. Second thing, leadership. A lot of people have ranted and raved about Jacoby Brissett's leadership, and including people like Brian Hoyer, which is the GOAT in New England. Joking. I know, obviously, it's Tom Brady. I just love Brian Hoyer. Anyways, leadership, skills. So those are two things he has going for him. Now, we go on the flip side and we look at Drake May. We look at the pros when it comes to Drake May. And as well, if there's any other pros that you can think of when it comes to Jacoby Brissett, go ahead and comment that below. Pros when it comes to Drake May. First, his ceiling is much higher than Jacoby Brissett. Again, there is a reason he was drafted third overall. And so when it comes down to it, his ceiling is much higher. He has a ton more potential than Jacoby Brissett. Second thing is the fact that he needs the experience. He needs the playing time. So I put that in the pro category just because, again, it's not like let's be real for just a quick moment. The chances of the New England Patriots making the playoffs is slim. Could it happen? Yes, it could happen. Again, this is probably one of the toughest schedules that any team in the NFL is going to play this season. It's going to be tough with a lot of young talent. Do I have hope for the future? 100%. Do I have hope for this season? You never know. It's football. That's why they play the game. All right? So when it comes down to it, he needs the experience. And I put that as a pro just because, again, it's on a team that's young. They're developing. So get him in there. Get him creating these connections with these different receivers, with the line, all these different things. Now, I think the line will probably change. Probably it'll be drastically different within the next year, I would assume, but we will see what happens. As well, I feel like Gerard Mayo, and I said this in my other video when we talked about Drake May, but Gerard Mayo has hinted, there is a reason, I've talked about this, there is a reason. Originally going into the training camp, it was Jacoby, and now it's like, I don't know. And the big reason is because Drake May has outperformed Jacoby in these two preseason games. So we're going to be able to see what Jacoby brings, but in this third game, this third installment of preseason, and we're going to see what Drake May has. But at this moment, Drake May has the edge when it comes to preseason play. Again, take that as you will, but still, he has had his shining moments. He's had some great passes. So he has outperformed him as well in training camp. A lot of different things you read or videos you see, it's hinting at the fact Drake May is kind of he's going in that positive direction where Jacoby Brissett is going into that opposite direction, into that second string role. So again, I want you to just comment below on those two, the pros for Jacoby and the pros for Drake May. As well, I think you look at you look at the negatives for each one. So the cons of, let's just say, starting. We'll start with Drake May. Again, he's young. And I think the biggest glaring thing that we always talk about is this offensive line. The offensive line is embarrassing. If you didn't watch my video yesterday, we talked about Elliott Wolf potentially looking at picking up Dally. He's a offensive tackle that was just dropped by the Arizona Cardinals. A few years ago, he played for the Tennessee Titans, gave up the most sacks, tied for the most sacks, but it was still the most sacks in the NFL. No, do not inquire about him. Do not get him on the Patriots. There is no need to bring him in and then just cut him, because there is a reason. I'm not saying the Arizona Cardinals have a phenomenal offensive line. I don't think it's anything to go crazy over. But man, that's rough. But anyways, so that would be one of the things is, hey, he's young. He'll have that time to develop. But let's not have it be behind this offensive line where we risk getting him injured. So I think that is the biggest con of starting Drake May, is that right there. Now, on the flip side, kind of playing that devil's advocate, you look at Jacoby Brissett. I think the negative in playing him is the fact that it's taking away experience. It's kind of like that double-edged sword. It's taking away the experience that Drake May could be getting. Because again, we all know that down the road, let's say they're 0-4, 0-5. Let's just hypothetical here. Hypothetical. Always have hope, but let's just play this hypothetical out. What are they going to be chanting? Chances are they're going to be chanting for Drake May to come in and play, because a lot of times, especially the typical kind of fan that doesn't necessarily understand the offensive line play, defensive line play, they're just thinking, let's just get a fresh body in there. Yes, 100% true. Get him in there. Again, we talked about the ceiling is much higher. But I think that's the biggest thing is of starting Jacoby, and it starts off bad. Eventually, Drake May is just going to get in there, and that's 4 or 5, however many games it may take, that is taken away from experience for Drake May, in-game experience, that I think will help him a lot. What are some other negatives, some cons when it comes to these two players starting that you can think of? Again, I am leaning towards, if I had to guess, if Vegas had to guess, I'm assuming I would be on their side when the odds were put out. But I think that Gerard Mayo is leaning towards Drake May. I think he understands that, hey, yes, this is why we brought Jacoby in. But again, on the flip side, we're going to play the best quarterback, and I think that is going to be Drake May. So I want you to comment below. Tell me what you think when it comes to that. A couple other things I want to talk about. I thought this was interesting. Field Yates put out a mock draft, if you can take a look at this. Giants with the overall pick, taking Carson Beck from Georgia. If you've seen him play, he is a baller. I just think it's interesting that so basically what this means is the Patriots would be the number one pick, if I'm reading that correctly. Yes. So what would the Patriots do if they had the number one pick in the NFL draft? Boom. So I guess they would trade down, get Will Johnson. Now, my first pick is offensive tackle, left tackle, get someone in there, rookie contract. Yes. Top 10 pick. Yes. Will Johnson is a great pick. I will tell you, Will Johnson, that perimeter cornerback for the Wolverines, stud, great player. I'm a Michigan State fan, but I got to be honest, he is a stud. And so, you see him and Christian Gonzalez playing cornerback 1, cornerback 2. That would be dirty on that defense. But again, the big question is not on defense. It's on offense in that offensive line. So the question is, when it comes to the draft, do you draft based on best available, or do you draft on need? So and don't just jump at me and say it's an easy answer. You should be drafted on need. Yes, I understand that, but at the same time, if you have an asset that you're letting pass, it's hard to do. So I think it's all relative. It all depends on the situation. Again, I think it would be smart for them to take an offensive lineman, an offensive tackle. Again, we have a long time till that. I just thought that was interesting. And so, that being said, as well, the New England Patriots dropped a veteran defensive tackle in Mike Purcell. Again, it's really no surprise. And in the coming days, you are going to see a waterfall of cuts. It is going to be wild, trimming it up, cutting it up, all the way down to 53-man roster before Tuesday at 4 p.m. And when that comes out, trust me, we will have a ton to talk about. Coming up in the videos to come, we're going to talk more about this preseason game preview, what we have to look forward to. And you better believe it's going to be a lot about the quarterback situation in Drake May and Jacoby Brissett. And I know some of you out there are like, well, what about Joe Milton? Yeah, he might play a little bit. But again, it's between these two right now. So we will see what happens. Comment below on your thoughts. I appreciate you guys. You guys rock. Go Pats. Peace.